Welcome to Friday, December 8th, 2023. Your Day with the Podcast brought to you by Hot Springs County Travel and Tourism, reminding you that as temperatures get colder and snow is on the horizon at Thermopolis, you can always find yourself in hot water. Well, unsettled is the best way to describe things in the coming days, as it's going to be up and down. We're going to have a little bit of everything. We're going to have some moments of sun, moments of clouds, moments where you might get snowed on, and temperatures are going to be chilly. Now, we do catch a brief break in the wind today. After high winds in many areas yesterday, winds will briefly settle down, but we'll see winds increasing across the central plains of the U.S. and part of the western high plains Saturday, then across the Rocky Mountains. We're going to have some very windy conditions return again on Sunday. This will lead to off and on mountain snows. The high country got a bit of snow yesterday. Today and tonight into early Saturday, the mountains will get snowed on again. And then late Sunday and into the early parts of next week, we've got more snow coming to the high country. So good news for you skiers in the snowpack. We're going to be looking at occasionally a little bit of snow shower activity on the plains developing later today and tonight. Parts of Colorado, the mountains and the Front Range, and even maybe a little bit onto the plains. You've got a little bit of snow coming in this pattern. Then the wind is going to be a problem, especially on Sunday, as we'll show you. Then next week, it gets a little complicated. Next week, a low pressure center cuts off from the main jet stream and then meanders across the western United States, which is going to pose a lot of forecast challenges. The satellite imagery this morning shows right here, you can see an axis of moisture right here. This is associated with the next low coming in from the Pacific Northwest. You can see a bit of a swirl up here in northeastern areas of North Dakota. This is the system that passed through the region yesterday and is headed towards the upper Great Lakes. This area low pressure right here, and you can see there's like little pockets of brighter little clouds. That's snow shower activity associated with the trough heading in through eastern Idaho and western Wyoming this morning. And this system is going to head east-southeast and track along this area like this here. So there you can see the low we just showed you. There's the low over western Wyoming, high pressure building along the coast. So this is where we're going to be today, and the trough of low pressure carving out, allowing colder Canadian air to sink southward into the western areas of the U.S. Now this is by Saturday at noon. This is noon today, noon tomorrow. See how quickly it all rushes on through? So this will bring another wave of snow to the mountains, then the snow showers onto the plains, and this is where the precipitation will fall between now and Sunday. Going to be some pretty good snow up into this area here with that low heading into the upper Midwest. Then the moisture on the back side of that low with the next one, the low over eastern areas of Idaho and western Wyoming. This is that area of snow that we see developing for parts of Colorado later today, tonight, and into early Saturday. Also along the Wasatch Front of Utah, going to get some snow. And we're going to see heavy precipitation again in western Washington and western Oregon. Then the weather when it comes to snowfall looks like this. So you can see that trend for the higher mountain ranges to do pretty good over the course of the next 72 hours. Then across North Dakota, south central areas of Canada, northwest Minnesota there, even eastern South Dakota, you're going to see a little bit of snow up here in the Black Hills as well. But across the lower elevations, it's mainly going to be snow showers. But traveling along Interstate 80, across this area here, travelers need to be ready for just enough snow showers to make roads and highways slick. And of course, some gusty winds at times. Traveling through the higher elevations of Interstate 70, watch out for tricky travel as well. Let's talk about the wind. This is where the wind will be at its worst on Saturday. Out onto the plains. Very windy across Nebraska, eastern Colorado, into the upper Midwest. Now, not as windy in the Great Basin and areas west of the Divide as we get into Saturday. But look what happens Sunday in advance of strong jet stream winds coming in. And here we go again. It's basically winds along the Continental Divide get very strong. So we'll end the weekend, I'm afraid, with another period of very strong and gusty winds. Then as we get into next week, we're going to have this low pressure system beginning to form here. It's basically a piece of energy that drops south behind the storm systems that are moving through this weekend. And it gets cut off, as you'll see here in a moment, from the main jet stream. But as this system slides south and east, Monday and the Tuesday, it may spread light snows back across the northern and central Rockies again into this area here. So after a very windy day Sunday, we may have a little bit of light snow activity come into the region and colder temperatures Monday and the Tuesday. Then after that, this is by noon Wednesday, roughly. Notice it gets cut off. Here's the main jet stream up here, but this low decides to get detached. And when this happens, and we think it's going to, these upper level lows, they meander, they wander because they're not attached to the jet stream to move them along. So they'll tend to wobble, bounce around a little bit. So it could end up down here. It could end up drifting back to this way. It could end up going down here, or it may end up going east, but it will take a few days to make up its mind because eventually the jet stream will pick it back up again. But these can be a real headache because they wobble and they just kind of can go anywhere. They will also sit long enough to draw moisture. And one thing we're seeing is there's a tendency that we're seeing that this system may draw moisture up into this area here throughout a 2 to 3 day period next week. And you can see that on the forecast charts. This is for the period of Monday through Saturday morning of next week. Look at the moisture here in Texas, New Mexico, getting into southeast Colorado, parts of Kansas and Oklahoma here, but also bringing moisture around that low, the counterclockwise rotation, bringing that moisture northward and into the southern plains, southern Rockies, and up here. So we'll just have to see because depending on where this goes, this heavier moisture could end up more down here, could end up more over here. This axis of moisture as well could be more north or south. So stay tuned. We're going to have some interesting weather next week to see what that cutoff low decides to do. If it does do what we're showing you here on the European model, it's got the potential for bringing some snow next week to many areas. So we're going to be keeping a close eye on that. Have yourself a great weekend. We'll talk to you on Monday.